Well, the eThekwini municipality is planning on building a multi-billion rand nuclear power station to offset the energy crisis. Mayor Mwalisi Kaunda says it will be done in partnership with the private sector. He was speaking at the opening of the Energy Transformation Summit down in Durban. He also announced a 400-megawatt coal-fired station, 300-megawatt gas plant and a 100-megawatt solar plant. So it looks like there are a lot of plans to build a lot of infrastructure, but is it a good idea? Groundwork Director Bobby Peake joining us now. Hello to you, Bobby. I appreciate the time joining us on ENCA. Good idea or bad idea? What's your view on all this? Sounds like a lot of power could be generated, but I imagine this is going to come at a very high cost.
Morning, Gareth, and morning to your viewers. I think the important thing is for us to remember that we must not waste an opportunity in a crisis. And this is an energy crisis that South Africa is facing now, and a crisis after the very, intense storms of April 2022. And, as Einstein says, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So we need to shift away from fossil fuels, and we need to shift away from nuclear energy and concentrate on delivering an energy that is decentralized, that supports Eskom and supports municipal energy development, that services society and serves the poor first. We must remember that the majority of people in this country do not have access to reliable energy. And by building a nuclear power plant, we must reflect on Medupi and Kusile. It was supposed to be 8 years to build Medupi and Kusile. They're still not operating optimum today, and this is after 14 years. It was supposed to be built at 163 billion rand, but it's probably closer to 500 billion rand now. So big infrastructure, such as coal-fired power stations, as well as nuclear power stations, are notorious for going over budget and for crippling society. And more important, let's remember that Medupi and Kusile has crippled the South African economy. So what is a nuclear power station going to do for Durban? Probably cripple it and just put a toxic time bomb in the city.
I suppose you could argue as well that essentially as an energy paradigm as well, we've got a minerals energy complex that we're used to here in South Africa. And this is where we always knew, Bobby, that we were going to get to a point, especially once the state of disaster had been announced, which gives government essentially a free ticket to do what they need to do, they say, to get us out of this load shedding. We were going to have energy versus the environment. So I suppose this is where we need to ask the question right now. I think many would agree with you, moving to a green energy form of power for South Africa. But right now, our country needs electricity however it can get it. What do you make of that remark from those on the other side of the table to you?
So first, let's recognize that the fastest way to get energy onto the grid presently is by renewables. That is built in smaller units. It's not large infrastructure projects. They are processes that can deliver within a year or two, rather than, within 5 or a decade or more. And we have experience of this. So gas, coal, and nuclear is we can't wait that long, Gareth. We need to respond now. But more importantly, let us look at the positive realities of being able to change government. The president put out a state of disaster on electricity, and he said the healthcare institutions need to be protected. Groundwork has been working with the Global Green and Healthy Hospitals program and supporting the Department of Health to think about renewables over the last 10 years. In Durban specifically, we worked with health institutions to stop waste incineration and to stop, using mercury within hospitals. So there is a positive process, and there are positive possibilities. And there's another thing hidden in this plan by the mayor, is the plan to burn waste to create energy. And if we do that, Gareth, we are taking away the livelihoods of the very many thousands of waste pickers that depend on doing a service for the city, taking waste out the system and sending it for recycling, rather than sending it up to be burnt. So we need to recognize that this crisis provides an opportunity, and provides an opportunity for those that don't have. And it's really sad to say that, groundwork works with Abashlali Basamanjondol, it works with the South Durban Community Environmental Alliance. These are key Durban movements, people's movements that are working to look for better service delivery. And we've worked with them on renewable energy processes. So we would love to work with the city, engage with the city to say, use this crisis to serve and to service society rather than just play into big business and the fossil fuel industry.
Because I'm going to leave it there, and I'll tell you why it was such an important comment for you to end on, Bobby, because I also understand environmental groups such as yourselves were not consulted on this, and I think you've made it very clear what you would like to do alongside the city to find some kind of solution to this. Bobby, I'm sure we'll talk again. I appreciate your time this morning. Director Bobby Peake from Groundwork Environmental Justice Group joining us this morning. So it doesn't have to be a case of one or the other. That's what I'm hearing after doing a few of these interviews. It doesn't have to be only renewables. There can also be a mixture as well, but we do need to move into a green